Hi, and welcome back to the last video for Fiji's SDG budget tag. In this video, we're gonna fully dedicate ourselves to constructing the Power BI interactive dashboard that will allow you and the final users to make use of the data that you compiled before in Excel in the Excel file. As mentioned in the at the last part of the previous video, the tagging by itself has useful information for those that manage and use regularly Microsoft Excel. However, not everybody, as you probably already know, not everybody is well versed in Microsoft Excel. And that's why it's better to present the data in Power BI or in a dashboard. So let's start by going over the main dashboard that we have constructed that is already available to you. We have a dashboard that has five components. One is the title. You can see there is a title. Number two, there is the main dashboard or the main chart. Number three, there is a table. Number four, there are some cards. These are called like cards where you can display subtotals. And number five, there are some additional logos that you can always adjust them however you prefer, however an institution needs them. Uh, and they are basically images that you just upload. So those are the five components that we are going to go through. In order to do that, first of all, let me go back and remember the people watching this last video that this is also an interactive dashboard. That means that whenever you click on the specific bar, you will get information on what kind of programs are or activities are being included. Um, in that selection, whenever you click, it shows you, at least in the table, which programs are within that selection, and similarly with the total subtotal for SDG financing. So for instance, if you click on one SDG 16, it will show you which MDAs or ministries, departments, or agencies are contributing to that based on the information that you presented before, as well as the subtotal from adding up all those amounts in the SDG financing calculated. So now let's touch upon the interactive nature of this. A dashboard or an interactive dashboard can be constructed in any of the data visualization uh, software that are available there. So please, by no means, think that because we are doing this in Power BI is the only way that it can be done. There are multiple ways that multiple software that you can use to convert that Microsoft Excel database into something that is much more useful for you and the end user. So again, we are using Power BI, but this is just an example of one of the softwares that can be used for this. So let's start by talking about Power BI. Power BI is a Microsoft service that has different kinds of licenses. You can access a desktop license, and is the one that we will use here. There is a more professional license, and there is even a very basic license. The basic license will allow you to construct power dashboards. The desktop version, which is the one I'll be showing you today, has a little bit more privileges in terms of being able to publish those results publicly. And there is a more professional version, which obviously we are not interested at this moment, which is more about programming and tailoring even more the data that you are showing. So right now we have sort of the mid version. That's what I'm going to show you. The difference between the mid level license and the basic license for Power BI is that the basic version allows you again to construct the dashboard, but it doesn't allow you to publish it publicly. So that's why you need another one. Either way, when you do this exercise, only one person is supposed to publish the nationwide SDG budget tag dashboard, right? So it makes sense that only one person within the ministry will have access to that mid-level Power BI license, so that they are able to publish these results. Otherwise, if you as an user just want to understand how it works, how to contribute to the build, to the construction of the Power BI dashboard, you can definitely use the basic license. That's in terms of the licenses that are available for Power BI. But then let's go ahead and use Power BI. Let's open the software. So the first thing is that you need to close the Excel file in order for the calculations to work. For now, we're going to create a blank report. We're going to start from scratch. This is how Power BI looks like. It allows you to add data to your report. So Power BI is about creating a report, creating a dashboard. Here, basically, a report is the name that you will give to your dashboard. So, in order to construct your report or your dashboard, you can import data from different sources. Here is showing you the different options. We also have different options on top, just like any other software. For now, what we want to do is bring all the data that we had in the Excel file to Power BI. So that's the first thing we're going to do is import data from Excel. I'm going to choose Fiji's 2024 to 2025 budget, and it's going to start loading. There is one important thing at this moment to clarify, and is that once you tell Power BI to use a particular data set from Microsoft Excel, um, that doesn't mean that you are going to edit the file, the original file. Once you upload the data and set up a model, what they call a model, the model will be able to be tailored. You will be able to change that model, that data that you are calling from Microsoft Excel. So remember, we are uploading this data to Power BI. That doesn't mean that we're going to change the structure, the columns, the rows, or the information that is within the Excel file. The Excel file is what it is, and now we're going to edit the file in a different platform, right? So it will not change the original file. So for now, we're going to take 2025 data, and we're going to ask the computer to load all the information. It should take a little bit. You should create the connections to the data model. Okay. So now here on the data on the right side, you'll see that there is already something uploaded. And if you open that up, you will see that there are a bunch of columns, because remember that we had a long format table that has all that information, over 170 columns. We definitely want to change that. And there are multiple ways to change that information. The reason for that information needing some transformation is that Power BI uses a tabular format. And the way we have the information in the Excel file is not in tabular form. So we are going to need to transform the data in order for Power BI to adequately basically use its own magic to to transform the data. So based on that, what we're going to do is we're going to transform the data. So go to the icon where it says transform data, and then we're going to do several steps. Here it's showing you a Power Query editor. So the first thing that you might see, if you are able to zoom in in the first component of the data set, you see that there is an empty row. So we want to get rid of that. So you go up and you delete row, remove top rows. The computer will ask you how many. So you just specify one, and that's it. Now you see that the first row are actually the headers of the different columns. So you want to go ahead and highlight it by clicking on it and click on the use first row as headers. That's what you're going to do. Once you do that, you'll see that now we have in the first row, we have the information that we have. Okay, so that's the basic step in order to have the data. Now, as mentioned, we want to change those 170 columns into tabular format because we want to do what Power BI calls unpivot. So basically, we want to have a data format that is horizontal. We want to switch it to unpivot it so it goes in a vertical direction, if we can put it in those terms. So I'm going to go ahead all the way to the end. I'm going to erase the column related to the control that we had for that. So you're going to highlight from column number one in terms of SDG target number one all the way until 170. The way to do that is that you are going to click on that one, on the column header, hit shift, you hold shift, and you go all the way to 170. Oh, that didn't select anything. So let's go back again. That was my mistake. We go to SDG target number one. We hit shift and we go all the way to 170. Now all of them have been highlighted. So you're gonna go to transform and now you're gonna unpivot columns. You wanna unpivot only the selected ones. And now Power BI just did that. So instead of having them having the data as 1, 2, 3, 4 columns all the way to 170. Now it has one observation, that's why the data is the same, and then it has the information or attribute for 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to 170. So in effect, what has happened is that Power BI has transformed the data from a horizontal point of view to a vertical point of view. And it has included as a value at the end, which is the actual uh, um, estimation for SDG financing that we calculated in the Excel file, is just putting it in a vertical format. So that's about it. There is a change here that is going to be important to consider, and is that as you can see, the attribute, which is the 170 columns that what were just transformed into a vertical format, are considered as a text. So we want to go ahead, select that one and change, because that's going to be a whole number from 1, 2, 3 all the way to 170. So we want to change that to the kind of variable that is the type of variable that is being considered. Once we do that, we're gonna save here. So the way to do that, just go back to home and hit close and apply. And if everything turned out well, there should be no issues with your data. Um, in addition to having the SDG financing that we have so far uploaded, and if you go to data, you will see how the data has changed. Now it has the column headers that we are familiar with. And so what we're going to do is remember that we are trying to compile something like this. However, look that these bars have different colors, right? And look at that the data has, or the bars have the coding of the 17 SDGs, 1 all the way to 17, and it does not apply uh, final label. However, in this data set, we don't have that. So we need to upload more data. The way to do that, if you don't do it from the beginning, you can also do it all the way from the beginning, is to add information. You go to home, you get data, you hit Excel workbook. Again, you click on the same file or whatever you have the information on the colors for the SDGs, the hexadecimal color codes, and we're also going to call or bring the labels. Those are two data sets that we want to include to our. Why is the labels information needed right now? Because remember that we had an internal SDG enumeration or coding that went from 1 to all the way to 170, right? So now we want to use the real SDG coding, which is in the second column, right? And we want to present the data only at the level of or aggregation of the 17 SDGs. So that's why we're going to need this information. So we're going to click on those two data sets that were in different tabs in Microsoft Excel, and we're going to load them, hoping that everything turns out well. Now you should get three data sets associated to your model of within Power BI. Here we go. So we have the data set for the main data set for the main tab that we managed in the videos before. We have also the information on labels as well as colors. So one of the ways, there are multiple ways to connect these data sets is to go to, again, to transform data, and we're going to activate a function that is called merge. We're going to merge some queries because we want to basically bring information together. So the way to do that is that you go to transform, actually, no. Within the home page, in the Power Query editor, you hit on Merge Queries, and we're going to tell the computer, okay, you have this main data set. First, we're starting with the one with the data set up here, the one that we already have. And we're going to tell the computer to take into account the 1, 2, 3, our internal coding that goes 1, 2, 3 to 170, and we want to tell the computer to use the labels the dictionary that will read the real SDG labeling. So we're telling the computer, take that column from 1, 2, 3 all the way to 170 and look for that column on the other database. In the other database, it has a different name. It doesn't matter, but we know it's the one that starts 1, 2, 3 and it goes all the way to 170. So we are going to link the two data sets by that through that variable, and then what the computer is going to do is going to add these other columns that will be used very useful for our purposes. At the end of the merge window, it tells you how many, if you continue and hit OK, what kind of match was found between those two data sets. Here it's telling us that it did 42,670, uh, and it did that on all files, so on all entries. So it means that our data was adequately matched. So let's go ahead and click on OK, and we should get that information as a newly created column that is actually a table, which is within each cell, there is actually more information. So we're going to go ahead and expand that so that we don't have any issues, and you can actually already see um, the new information that was added. So now we used to have only attribute. Now we have the real SDG labeling and the SDG goal. So that's all good. And now we need to do another one for the colors, for the hexadecimal coding of the SDG colors. So we're going to hit on merge queries again. We're going to tell the computer to use that same database. And we're going to tell the computer to use that last column that we created that has only the 17 SDGs. Technically, it's 18, including the one that doesn't apply. We're gonna hit on colors, and then we're gonna tell the computer that the matching variable, the same variable, is found on the other data set by clicking on SDG. And what the computer will do is look for that same information, and whenever it finds, for instance, A1, it will add this coloring hexadecimal code. As before, the computer will tell you how many matches it did. Here we have the same successful result. So we're gonna go ahead, click OK, and expand the last column that was created by the computer, because within each entry there is a lot of information. So we wanna go ahead and expand that so we have all the information needed. And with that in mind, we should be ready to go. So let's go ahead and click close and apply, and our data sets should be connected. So in order to do that, you want to go from the report view, which is the blank canvas that we have right now, to the model view. Once you go to the model view, you will see that we have, on the one hand, we have the our data set that we pulled from Excel file, the one that we have managed in the previous videos. We included colors and we linked that, and we had the labels, and we link that one to our main data set. So we're going to go back to report view, and now we're going to construct our Power BI dashboard. The way to do that is to click on the clustered column chart that we are showing right now. You're going to go ahead and click on that one, and you need to specify. Once you do that, the computer will ask you to specify here what you want to put on the horizontal axis as well as in the vertical axis. So you you want to specify the same information that we have on our Power BI dashboard that we created beforehand, right? So we want to replicate this information. So basically, we want to have a chart that is like sort of like this width. We're going to leave it like that, and we're going to specify some data. The data that we have on the horizontal axis is obviously the SDG code. So we're gonna go ahead and connect that one. Let me see where it is. Where it is. Let's see if it's this one on the X on the horizontal side. And now we're gonna add value on the vertical axis. So you can see it actually took the um, the 169 SG targets. So we want to go ahead and eliminate the one on the X or horizontal axis, and then we're gonna put let me see where it is. So this is it. Perfect. We got all the information that we needed. We have on the horizontal the 1 to 17, and now it's compiling all the values within each SDG. The first thing that you might see different is that we have colors. So that now is the moment to specify the colors. In order to do that, we need to go to um, the second option within our visual dashboard. Here you compile, this is the menu for the main, where you specify the main data. Now we're gonna customize or format our visual. So we're gonna click that one, and we want to do a change in columns. Let me actually move the, um, the camera to the other side. So what we did, let's do it again in case it was confusing because of the way the camera was set up. We're gonna go ahead and erase that. And again, we're gonna hit on clustered column chart. We're gonna increase the size of that to whatever you might want to use within your canvas. And we're going to add in the X axis, horizontal axis, the 18 SDGs, and in the vertical one, the value that we calculated, right? Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now we're gonna hit on the option to format our visual. We're gonna go ahead to the columns, and you see where the color blue is. We're gonna hit on the function. So please click the function button, and then the format will be given by a specific field value. Which field value? The hexadecimal coding that we calculated before, that we allocated, and that we merged with this financing data set before. So we're gonna go ahead, and within our file, we're gonna hit on the hexadecimal color, and that should do the work. There we go. So basically, we have coloring just as our main Power BI dashboard. Now, obviously, we need some additional stuff. We want to see how the percentages up here on top of each column. So the way to do that is to close the column component and activate the option that is below that one, that is called data labels. Once you click there, you're going to see that you get labels on top of each column. However, they are not percentages. So the way to do that is to go back to your original where you specify all the information, and on the vertical axis, you're going to hit and click on show values as percentage of grand total. That'll give you the percentage. In my personal opinion, there is not a very there's not a lot of it's not very useful to have two decimal points here. So I'm going to go ahead and change the labels of that so that the computer only takes one decimal point. And as you can see, we now have something that looks like this. So that's the first thing that we get. Now what you want to do is to add a text box. You want to go to the top option and hit on text box, and then you're gonna write SDG financing, SDG financing, Fiji 2024, 2025. That's something that you where you can definitely select and make bigger. Let's give it a 42. Um, let's center all of that. Let's give it a little bit more size to this particular one. And then finally, you have two of the five elements that we discussed at the beginning of the video for your interactive dashboard. So we have number one, the title, the main chart. We still need a few other elements here on our Power BI dashboard. If we want to replicate the one that we had before, we want to add a table, and the way to do that is go to the visualizations and click on the table icon. And once you hit that table, you're gonna give it the size that you want, and we're gonna start including columns in there. Let's see, the original one has a MDA program and some other components. So let's go ahead and do that. You can put them all the way here, or you can just put them in the column section. So we have MDA, we also have program. Let's go ahead and put this in the box, within the box. And then we have, I think this is the value, what we call the value. It's going to be SDG financing. The goal, which is going to be this one. You put it inside, and the SDG target. Okay, let's see what we got here. Here we go. So we have information related to the ministry, the program, the SDG financing that we calculated, which SDG goal is related to, and the specific SDG target. So we're gonna go ahead and add a third element. Oh, sorry, this is actually the third element. You can actually change the way these columns are named by going into the variable. that you added, and let's say that you want to change, you rename for this visual is going to be the option, and you can type in whatever you need. In this case, we're going to do SDG target. Once you hit enter, you'll see how the last column in the table changes. Okay, so same thing for the other ones. So there are definitely a lot more customizations that you can do for your interactive dashboard. For now, we're gonna leave it like this. We're gonna adjust a little bit, and once you hit on a particular SDG, you'll see how the computer filters the information. That's what it gives your data, the interactive component, right? So now we want to do some subtotals. We want to calculate some subtotals. So go ahead and hit on value. That will give you the total amount of resources. And now, whenever you hit or click on a particular SDG, it will show you the resources, the amount of resources for that specific SDG. So you can definitely reduce the size of that later on. We can also add, this is going to be the subtotal of financing. Uh, we can also add another one that has the MDAs. We don't want, we want to count, we want them to list them all. So now we're counting how many MDAs are included in the exercise. And similarly, you can also include, for instance, another one called another card that is related to the activity. So you can actually put that information. We want to see how many activities, so count distinct, and then you can see how many activities you are considering in your exercise. Additionally, you can add labels, uh, I'm sorry, logos for the institution. And the way to do that is to go up here and click on insert, and then you can insert an image. You can definitely add the image that you need, and that's how you're going to add images to the right or to the left, and that way you'll have the logos, the title, your main chart, your table, and your subtotals, and those will be the five elements that you need to replicate these interactive SDG budget tag in Power BI. Um, that's it in terms of the entire steps. Uh, Once you have compiled this, the next thing that you need to do is to publish your Power BI dashboard. As mentioned, that will only be the job of one person within the ministry. So you go to the home section and then you hit on click on publish. And once you click on publish, you need to specify to publish it on your workspace, and from your workspace, you're going to be able to publish it to a public website if you have the desktop version, which I mentioned was sort of the not the basic license, but the middle one that you will see more commonly out there. Based on that, you can just publish your results or update them, update the link that you have from the previous one. You can obviously paint this canvas as you prefer. So there is no specific way to do this canvas. You can introduce how many charts you want and how many data sets you want to include in your presentation for this dashboard. So once you do that, you also want to make sure that you save that, and that's about it. Hopefully, all those videos were useful for you to replicate this exercise on your own. If you have any question, you can contact us, but please make sure that you rewatch these videos. Just to summarize, let's go back to the presentation that we had before. Remember that what we did in the last few videos was to implement a five-step approach that was based on first step inputs, compiling inputs, to then allocate SDG labels, which is the second step. Then we switched to distributing one each expense line into those um, labels allocated in the second step. That's the third step, where we distributed our resources into the different SDG targets. And in the fourth step, what we did was do a different treatment of administrative and non-administrative expenses to make sure that administrative expenses behave in the same way that non-administrative expenses do. So we also did that. And finally, what we just did was uh, we compiled the visual dashboard by doing some basic data transformation that are required for Power BI to read and present the visuals that we want. And finally, we constructed the interactive dashboard. So that's what we just did here. Also, I just want to thank you for all your patience in the past few videos. I want to remind you that this methodology comes from a document that was compiled. Here we go, by UNDP. This document, and we should give credit to UNDP for the construction of this guidebook and this methodology. You can definitely, and I encourage you to go and check the details of that UNDP document that has the methodology explained. So all credit to UNDP for developing the methodology. These videos are materials that support the same methodology that is presented in the video. So a great way to complement the reading of that detailed document is to also go into the more practical videos that we have just created for you to replicate this in the future. So with that in mind, let me thank you for your patience. And um, again, if you have any question, please let us know or rewatch the videos. Hopefully that was very clear. Thank you so much.